continuing to read to you from my book, Basic Truths of Gaudiya Philosophy, an English rendition of Sri Jiva Goswami's Tattva-Sandarbha. We're reading the overview. And so far, Jiva Goswami said we need to be able to know the truth. And so the first option is to try to discover it by looking around. But he says there's a problem with that because your perceptions are limited. But we're trying to understand the absolute truth here. So that doesn't seem like it's going to work right. The solution that he presents to the limitations of the senses is not to try to gain absolute knowledge by oneself, but with assistance from some unlimited source of knowledge. And he presents the Vedas as that unlimited source. Then he admits a problem with that. He says, first of all, we don't even have all of the Vedas. We don't have a complete record of the Veda. Second of all, even the part that we do have is so enormous that it's practically impossible to expect any single human being to study them all thoroughly. And thirdly, even if you study them all thoroughly, they're so confusing. What's the meaning? And his solution for the problem of the Veda's complexity and mystery and incompleteness is to use the Puranas. And he describes the Puranas as the fifth Veda, and he proves it with many, many references. And the Puranas are superior to the other four Veda because they're complete, relatively clear, and relatively short. So now we're up to the new material. So let's start reading from the book. Next, he admits a problem in accepting the Puranas as the primary foundation from which to ascertain truth. They seem conflicted regarding the status of various divinities. So that's the main problem with the Puranas. Yeah, they're shorter, they're clear, they're intact, but they're still not quite clear. Especially when you read all of them, they seem to be pointing to different divinities. Now he's going to resolve this problem. Back to the text. He resolves this by presenting the Purana's own pervasive recommendation to grade them into four categories: tamas, rajasa, sattvik, and mixed, with those that exalt Hari as sattvika and thus superior to the others. So the Puranas themselves, throughout all the Puranas, they suggest that they be graded into four groups based on the divinity that they mainly focus on. And you can find out more about that in the book itself. In a quick summary, the Sattvika Purana is one which is about Hari. And Sattvika is the superior classification. So his solution is, let's rely mainly on the Sattvika Puranas as our source of knowledge about the truth. But he continues, a problem remains. Even among the Sattvika Purana, there are various opinions and angles. How can they be harmonized? He suggests Brahma-sūtra, or Vedanta Sutra, as the solution, since Vyasa wrote it specifically to harmonize the various angles in the Puranas and the Vedas. But he decides that Brahma-sūtra is too terse, mysterious, and easy to misunderstand. He therefore concludes that Vyasa's own sequel to Brahma-sūtra, Srimad Bhagavatam, encapsulates the best form of the Veda to use confidently as a foundation upon which to ascertain truth. So there it is, very, very, very fundamentally important principle to Gaudiya Vaishnava philosophy. It's not Gaudiya Vaishnava philosophy if it's not in Srimad Bhagavatam. End of story. Not everything is explicitly elaborated upon in the Bhagavatam. That is the contribution of the Goswamis like Jiva Goswami. They explain what's in the Bhagavatam and provide and organize it in such a way that all the detail becomes clear. But if it's not in the Bhagavatam, it's not important. And if it is in the Bhagavatam, it is important. And if it's not in the Bhagavatam, it's not a real part of Gaudiya Vaishnava philosophy. And if it is in the Bhagavatam, it is. Okay, so just to review, Jiva Goswami said we want to know the absolute truth. So let's discover it. But the problem is that our senses are not really perfect. Okay, so let's get guidance from some perfect source of knowledge. Okay, that would be the Veda, but the Veda are too huge, incomplete, and confusing. So what should we do? Oh, well, we should use the Purana because the Puranas are meant to solve this problem. Okay, but when I study the Puranas, they tell me a whole bunch of different things. They tell me a whole bunch of different people are the supreme. So then his solution to that is, that's okay. They themselves admit that they're graded to stress different things for different people, and that if you want the highest version, you should go for the Sattvika Purana. Okay, but even in the Sattvika Purana, they don't all say exactly the same thing, but we want to know specifically, really exactly, what is the absolute truth and all that kind of stuff. So we need, something that harmonizes all of these Sattvika Puranas. So what should we do? So Jiva Goswami says, let's use the Brahma-sūtra, because that's what it's for. It's the Vedanta. It's the end of the Veda that pulls them all together into one cohesive conclusion. So, but he says, but there's a problem with that too. It's just as confusing as the original Vedas. In fact, it's even more confusing because it's so short. So then he says, man, if only there was something that did what the Brahma-sutra does, conclude and harmonize all the Veda, but did it in a way that wasn't easy to misunderstand and wasn't so darn terse and short. And was the Sattvika Purana, wait a minute, there is exactly such a thing. It's the Srimad Bhagavatam. The Srimad Bhagavatam is considered by Sri Jiva Goswami as Vyasa's sequel to the Brahma-sutra. So it's perfect. It's Vyasa's own realization that, wait a minute, the Brahma-sutra is a little bit too complicated for what I wanted it to do. Let me try again. Let me explain it more clearly. And then he wrote the Bhagavatam. So his final conclusion is the Bhagavatam is the best form of the Veda to use as the foundation for your search for absolute truth. And we'll keep going in the next installment, which should be next week. So I hope you'll join me for that. Hare Krishna.